what's up, everybody? Welcome to Comics and Coffee here on Hyper RPG. I am your only host this week. You only had Adam last week because I was working on a big gig, and now this week, Adam... Oh, no. Adam's watching Lion King instead of talking about comic books. This is... I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if it's worth it. We'll find out later. We'll find out later. Adam will be coming back, and he'll be letting us know whether or not it was worth it, what he's been up to. I think he said tomorrow morning he's going to be doing a review of some sort of Lion King. But I'm excited because this is the first time, especially for the YouTube folks that are watching, that we've had a one-on-one. Despite starting this company and building it from the ground up with my bloodied hands, you guys on YouTube barely know who the I gotta watch myself. I gotta get better at that. I'm trying really hard. Adam told me that, like, cursing on YouTube, on Twitch it's not a problem, but on YouTube it's, like, apparently a problem now. So I'm trying. But I don't get to talk much to you all on YouTube. And I feel like you don't know jack, again, trying, about me and what it's taken to build all this up. Literally bloodied hands. That's a true story, says Megalo Blazemon, and that is correct. It is literally bloodied hands. I have a dead finger building this studio. Yeah, and it will forever be dead from here up. Building the studio in Seattle, I ripped my finger off with a drill bit. It happened live on stream on Twitch. Wild times, and it will forever just be a nub, a little dead nub. All the nerve endings in it. They sewed it back on, and it's just like. Yeah, I know the Twitch side is like, wow, such restraint. So starting off this show today, it is Comics and Coffee, and I thought, you know what, I just got some new coffee in the mail. We haven't talked about this before on this show, but I actually have a coffee subscription from a place called Atlas Coffee. I used to get twice a month when we had a lot more people in the studio, and I need to give a lot more people coffee. But now I'm down to just one little bag per month of coffee, and today we are going to be drinking the Zambia Mubiyu. Mubiyu. Oh, Brandon Winfrey says we are Broken Finger Bros. What's up, Brandon? How's it going? So this is it's the tasting notes on this coffee are hazelnut brown sugar, jasmine chai, and apricot lime. It's a light roast. Let's learn a little bit about this coffee before we drink it. Extremely late to the coffee growing game, Zambia did not cultivate coffee until high-quality varietals from Kenya and Tanzania. I love this coffee service, but this sounds so pretentious. Good coffee is life-changing. I will tell you, when you have good coffee, not Starbucks, not McDonald's, not Folgers, good coffee is life-changing. It is so good. But to talk about it like it's this is a little pretentious and a little bit too much. Let's see. Starting from scratch to late in the game meant that Zambia was able to harness centuries of accumulated knowledge and set up its coffee production on a large scale with an emphasis on efficiency. Zambia formally exported coffee for the first time ever in 1985. After decades of dominance by large coffee plantations, smallholder farmers have finally begun to receive support from the government and outside organizations in the last few years, and experimental farms have emerged focusing on coffee quality research and quality of life improvements for the workers. Slowly on the rise, Zambian coffee is incredibly rare. Okay, well, let's have some. So I've got this is my setup that I have up in my room. I don't bring it downstairs too often. So this is my coffee brewer here. Oh no, did Malika change? Malika's been using my coffee brewer because the temperature is not set correctly. You gotta be kidding me. All right, well, in the future, I'll have my temperature set correctly before we start the show. I don't want to mess with it right now. So first things first, we're going to do about 30 grams of coffee in here. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think I might be able to just All right. Okay, so we're going to measure that out right here. I've got this nice little layer here. Oh, we're gonna do a lot more than that. Let's keep it going. I'm making a big cup of coffee here. It's gotta last me the entire show, you know? I don't wanna go too far though. I'm gonna zero it out. That's probably good. We'll do 23. I think that's good. 23 grams. I don't want to go too high on that. All right. So we're going to start. I'm going to zero this back out. We're going to start with 30 grams of water to just kind of wet the coffee. And we're going to do that starting in the middle. Oh, I jumped the gun there. Went a little too quick. Just going to wet the coffee. I'm going to start my timer too. We're going to let it sit for 30 seconds. And we're going to do a little bit of like a 30, 45 second kind of burst today, and we're going to do it in like tink, 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 tink. LOL, what are you doing? I'm making fucking coffee. I already lost it. I'm trying to do better. We're making coffee. The show's called Comics and Coffee. Get your head in the game. What does it look like I'm doing? All right. I already lost it. Well, we're done. We're out. Adam, close up shop. We're going home. All right. All right, so that's good. 30 seconds on that. 30 grams. Oh, I stopped right at 29.5. That was a good guess. All right, we're going to start with little circles in the middle. Boom. I don't know how many of you at home have made coffee this way, but oh my God. See, I can already tell you the water's too hot. My water temperature got reset. It's too hot. So this is going to be a little bit more bitter than I like. All right, we're going to hold on that for a little bit. We're going to hold about 30 seconds. Yep, demonetized. Jeez. Now it says, King Drop says, you're just embarrassing. This is why YouTube, we don't talk much, because y'all are dicks. Keep living the good life. We're over on Twitch. We actually fund this entire company that runs all the shows you enjoy, and people have a good time and make lifelong friends together. But you guys on YouTube, you keep ostracizing yourself by making rude comments to strangers on the internet. Feel real cool about those little balls you got. Let's get back to the coffee. All right, we're at 30 seconds in. And we're going to give it another 30 seconds there and 30 grams. We'll let it go. We are wanting to do more YouTube Live, though. I want to make more friends on YouTube. Because honestly, we think there are a lot of really good people over on the YouTube side. You guys comment on our videos. You have good times. You join the discussion, stuff like that. We want to talk to you. We want to hang out. We want to get to know you better. And speaking of, at San Diego Comic-Con next weekend, we're going to be having a meetup on Saturday. Adam will be sharing the images soon. What's up, Melanie, over on Facebook? How's it going? How's it going? Oh, you guys are fighting in the chat room together? That's fine. Most of us are nice. Most of you are nice. We meet a lot of you out and about at cons and stuff like that. And I will say, a lot of our fan base is really nice. A lot of the fan base for trailer reactions in general is awful. And it's one of those things that's kind of a known thing by everyone that works together in the industry. When a group of people who do trailer reactions get together, the thing that they all talk about is how awful people that watch trailer reactions are. And when I say that, I don't want to say all of you are awful, because you're not. You're really not. There's like a certain group of people that watch trailer reactions only to yell something. And the thing is, you can click on their username and you can see what they're posting in other channels, you know? And you'll literally see them taking the same comment and putting it everywhere to make a point. It's freaking hilarious. And it's something that we all talk about when we get together and we're all hanging out, because it's like, what has happened? Like, what is... It's a weird thing, because we all want to do it. We think it's really fun to do trailer reactions, but we all admit to each other in private of how awful so many people that watch those things are, and how they have like the worst comment sections. It's ridiculous. But then we meet really cool people at cons, because of course the people who come to talk to you at cons aren't jerks. Well, it was just a couple of weeks ago, somebody like commented on our YouTube that they wanted to beat Adam and I up, and went into great detail to describe how they wanted to beat us up. And then they told us where they worked and how we could find them. And we just sent that to their employer, because you're real stupid. Don't threaten violence to someone on the internet and then say, here's where I work, come find me. Good job. All right, this is almost done, and I am excited to drink it. Malika, how you feeling? How was that workout? I watched parts of it. I tuned into a part that looked definitely very close to being against terms of service. All right. Oh, can't be in Comic-Con because I'm at Korea right now, but maybe next year or hopefully NYCC. Are you guys going to New York? Maybe. We only go to cons usually if people send us there for work. Yeah, or it's close enough that we can drive. We have been talking to a couple different people about possibly sending us out. Oh God, that just. That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff right there. All right, so there's our coffee for Comics and Coffee.
Wow.
It's good stuff. Nice and thick, nice and dark. It's going to be a dark one. Come to Costa Rica. Why in the world would I go to Costa Rica? Actually, I would love to go to Costa Rica. I'm saying that as like, why would I do that? I would freaking love to go to Costa Rica. I've been to Nicaragua. I spent a summer in Nicaragua working at an orphanage doing art therapy. What's that for? Say what? I sound muffled. Okay. All right. So, okay. Did that dude say that before May 21st? I don't remember, Blvd. I don't know. Yeah, the audience says sounds fine to them. Actually, yeah, I would love to go to Costa Rica. I was in Nicaragua for a while. I got to the border, Costa Rica and Nicaragua. There was a bay there. I can't remember the name of it, but I was doing art therapy out there. So yeah. No Daniel Mazzola, no Adam today. Adam is at the Lion King premiere, so you're going to be hanging out to me. I'm going to drink some coffee that we just made. Made it really thick and dark this time. This is... That is dark. That is dark. I was doing quick bursts, so cook the beans really quick. You want to try it? It definitely has like a cocoa kind of flavor to it. You can definitely get, it's got that cocoa. Really dark. What do you think?
I like it a lot.
You like it?
Yeah, it's like fruity without being like too...
It's not too fruity. Yeah, you don't like the fruity coffees. I like the fruity coffees.
Yeah, it's very strange. And it has like
Very
light,
cocoa.
like toasty, not dark roasty, but like
Mm-hmm.
more of a toasty kind of notes to it, so I really like that. For those of you who are asking about New York, I don't know if they can hear this, but Zach and I will be going...
Oh, this was a problem. There was a problem with the Twitch end. That's why Twitch, YouTube said it was fine. We got to catch that stuff before we go live, not after we go live.
I just wanted to remind them that we will be going to New York in October.
We'll be going to New York in October. You and I will be there if anyone wants to meet up for any sort of fan meetup or anything like that.
On a Sunday.
Yeah.
The first week in October.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's talk. Let's hang out. We're going to talk about some comic books and coffee. I was right in the middle. I haven't finished it yet. I'm right in the middle of Invisible Woman #1 from Mark Waid. Holy shit, it is great. It is really good. I should have read it way earlier. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I am. It's a spy book, and it's friggin' awesome. So, what's up, Edward Orndorff? What's up? Yeah, this is really good. I got to start doing this for Adam. I got to start making Adam the good coffee instead of the Keurig stuff before the show. It's just so different. If you haven't, it's hard to explain because I know for some people, I never had a chance to actually have. In fact, speaking of Costa Rica and Nicaragua, I never had good coffee in my life until I traveled to Nicaragua for work. That was when I became a coffee convert because in the past I was more of a latte person. Now I can't stand lattes. I don't really like lattes. They're too sugary. It takes away from the coffee flavor. So now after that trip and getting to taste like really good, fresh, clean coffee, I came back from that trip and just wanted to find more good coffee, and it's everywhere. You just got to ask for it. Most people don't ask for it. They think that they want the sugared down stuff or they want the burnt Starbucks stuff. Go to a good coffee shop, ask them for, a pour over, and or like a Chimex or something like that. It's so good. Danielle Mazzola says YouTube chat undefeated. I don't know. Twitch chat gives you all a run for the money. Engagement is about 250% higher on Twitch than YouTube. A lot more people hanging out in there, having a great time. The FDH, $5. Hey, Zach, been listening to Woodkid on Pandora and found Grandson. Have you listened to them? Oh, I missed the rest of your message. Crap. But I would love to see our YouTube chat get that activity up even more and more. One thing that I want to start, Adam and I talk about this a lot. We want to facilitate conversation between you all. One of the things, and I think part of it is because we're live on Twitch literally 6 hours a day. So the people over on Twitch, they hang out with each other 6 hours a day. They get to know each other. So they'll talk to each other as friends would, like saying hello and how you doing. We want to start building that community on YouTube because we want you all on YouTube to have that opportunity as well, to be hanging out in the chat and to just start recognizing each other's names, start communicating with each other, and getting to know each other better because you have the same interests. You have the same likes. My favorite thing about being a part of this company and the stuff that we've done over the last couple of years is when we go to cons and we do our meetups and we play games together and everybody gets to just chill and hang out and talk, and it's such a cool experience. Gen Con last year, our meetup at Gen Con last year might be one of my favorite memories of being a part of Twitch, YouTube, and everything since I started working on it 6-7 years ago. It's really, really great. It's really great. Zach isn't biased. Hey, honestly, you and this is the truth. I'm gonna be complete. The people that have talked to me know I will not bullshit you. I will not. That is something I will not do. We would do so much more content on YouTube if audiences on YouTube weren't so toxic. This is just a flat truth, and it's not just us that say that. It's so many other creators that get so burnt out by the toxic people on YouTube. And I'm not saying any of you in our chat room right now are that. You're not. You're here. You're watching Comics and Coffee. You're not that. But I can tell you that a lot of creators that we work with come to us and want to do more stuff on Twitch and start exploring that platform because it's exhausting. It's really exhausting to deal with that much toxicity. And trying to manage it and trying to formulate a community around it and to make it better and keep hitting those like walls where the platform itself isn't giving us the same tools to make it a really awesome experience for anyone. You know, here at Hyper, we are all about welcoming people from all walks of life, and we want people to feel safe here, and we want them to feel comfortable. And, you know, there's things that we do on Twitch that we can monitor. We can make sure that people coming into that community immediately know what is up and what is going on, and we can boot them the second they don't follow those rules. YouTube has a long way to go with that, and I know it's hard for YouTube because they want to make that ad money. They don't want to just turn people away, and we've tried a lot of stuff, and we want to start experimenting. We're trying to experiment and kind of like figure out ways that we can do it because we want to connect more with that YouTube audience. But at the same time, it's rough. It's really rough, and it's not just us. It's a lot of creators that we talk to are exhausted. They're just exhausted dealing with the constant. And the thing is, you all probably you don't see a lot of it. We have our comments for YouTube set to approve. Adam and I read through them every day, and some mods help us too. But we get notifications for every comment that's left on YouTube, and it's exhausting. And we shield a lot of the people who work here from them, and we curate them. And I think it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's hard. And it gets to your head after a while because you start wondering, like, how can people be so awful and be so mean? I just don't get it. Nurhill on the Twitch side says, Twitch chat and YouTube chat need to band together against the true enemy, Facebook chat. Viva la revolution. Sweet. Max Bland over on Twitch just said, just read Black Hammer and Farmhand on Hoopla. That's awesome. You know what? This is a good question for YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, whoever's watching right now. What apps do you like to use digital? I obviously use my iPad to use Comixology, but there are other digital apps out there. Do any of you go directly to like DC, the app, the DC Universe app? I know Marvel has their own app. There's one on the Switch even. You can read comic books on the Switch now. I don't know if any of you have tried that out. Let me know what you're using. What's up, Edward Orndorff? Orndorff on Facebook. Be nice to us, Facebook plebs. Phone ain't got enough room for another app, LOL. I feel you. I feel you. You know? And somebody on YouTube says, oh my God, who uses Facebook? You'd be surprised. The reason we're streaming this show to everyone is there's so many people out there who don't have access to every platform. And we want to find them. We want to be friends. So hang out, you know, wherever you're coming at us from. You've been reading comics on the Xbox with the DC Universe app, says FDH. That's crazy. John Choi over on YouTube says, Hoopla gang, rise up. Okay, so is Hoopla one I need to check out? I'm going to type it in right now and look it up. I just hit the wrong stinking button. I was on the wrong screen when I said that I was going to go check that out. I hit F11 and went full screen on the chat. Woo! Blocking my own view. Okay. Pull that up there. Yeah, I want to check out Hoopla. You got Comixology on your Nook? I mean, I will still go to the store and I will still pick up physical copies of books, especially for like big releases. Especially. Edward says casually use Comixology. Yeah, I'm going to check out Hoopla. So what is this Hoopla? Hoopla Digital. Is it cool to just jump into Invisible Woman? Yeah. I mean, we might have to read this one on the air, and I'll just have to do my best, Sue Storm, because I want to finish this book. It's really good. I got halfway through it, and I really want to finish it. Let's see, how many pages do I have left? Oh, I only have 2 pages left. You might just have to sit here and watch me finish it. Okay, so Hoopla says, instantly borrow digital movies, music, ebooks, and more 24/7 with your library card. I heard of this. This is the library card app. Oh, shit, I bet Malika would love this. Yo, Malika! That's how I talk to my wife, and it's okay. It's okay. That's how everyone in her family talks to her. Malika, have you heard of Hoopla? I feel like that's something you would love because it's like a library cards one. Oh, okay. So I'm the idiot. I'm the idiot. Oh, nice. Cool. Okay, I'm getting a lot of shade from my wife now. Okay, cool, great. No, I feel like a real big idiot now. So I had no idea. I had no idea. So I just got a lot of sass. Thrown my way. Too many apps, no. No, I think it's whatever works for you. Personally, I have a Comixology Unlimited account, and I use it a lot. And I love Comixology Unlimited because what I find is I'll often pick up a book in the store that looks really cool, or someone will tell me to check it out, and it might be on issue 20 or something like that. And I'll read that issue. I won't know what the hell's going on, but then I'll go through Comixology and I'll see that the first 2 volumes of the book are on Unlimited. And I'm like, yes, all right, I can go back, catch up, and then now I'm putting it on my pull list. So I really dig it. Really dig it. Currently, you're reading the Jason Aaron run of Thor on Marvel Unlimited on iPad. I love downloading 12 issues at a time and reading them on the go. That's what Shy says over on the YouTube chat. How freaking awesome is the beginning of Jason Aaron's run of Thor? We're going to talk about Thor today because I feel like Jason Aaron's Thor is one of my favorite renditions of Thor ever. What he's done with that book. And this issue, this week, it was great. Coming out of War of the Realms, issue 15. Of this run of Thor, and next one is the last issue of this run before we get to King Thor. I honestly, Jason Aaron's run of Thor is so good. I love Gore the God Butcher. I want to see that in a movie somehow. It's a little heavy for, I think, the direction Thor's gone in, but it's really great. Really great. Is Comixology Unlimited like a Netflix for comics? Asks the Twitch chat. Yes, in a way. It can be frustrating at times. You can download books to save for later with Unlimited and kind of borrow them. They call it borrow, so you can read them when you don't have a signal. But they only have a certain amount of books on Unlimited, and it's a lot. If you're new to comic books, it's a lot of comics. So there's a lot of things you can read on there and feel like you're being satisfied. The frustrating part of Comixology Unlimited is they definitely try to hook you. Imagine if you were watching Netflix and you got through season 1 of Stranger Things, and then it was going to make you pay for Stranger Things season 2. Drank way too much coffee today. I'm going to keep guzzling this though. So good. It can be frustrating because you'll get right up through like 2 or 3 volumes of a book, and then if you want to read the last volume, you got to buy it. And you do get a discount for buying it through Comixology Unlimited, but it doesn't give you access to everything. So that can be a little bit frustrating. It can definitely be frustrating. Hector Navarro is the comic book god. I challenge Hector Navarro. I challenge Hector Navarro. Let me put this out there for the whole world to hear. I challenge Hector Navarro. Bring it. He'll come to bat with his encyclopedias. I know that's how Hector gets off. He reads his encyclopedias. I go to the source. Okay, I'm gonna go directly to the source. I'm gonna read those books from the beginning. I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna live those books. I'm gonna be one with them. I don't skim through some encyclopedia like a chump, Hector. Like a chump. That's right. Hector's the Green Goblin. No, Hector's the best. Hector's the best. Hector and I did a comic book show a long time ago on Geek and Sundry called The Pool. I've not talked about SpiderMan yet, Rolling Stop, but we'll get there. We'll get there. But for the YouTube audience, I feel like I should give you some background on why we're doing this show, and maybe even a little bit of why you see me around on the channel, how I know all these guys, why I'm a part of all this stuff. Number one, this is our home. This is our studio. Built this from the ground up. I met a lot of these guys through when I launched Geek and Sundry's live network. That was about 5 years ago now. I came in to be their new YouTube showrunner. I started off in YouTube, strangely. I used to work for Awesomeness, All Def Digital, Condé Nast, companies like that, doing a lot of directing, cinematography, editing, things like that with my production company. And I got hired by Geek and Sundry to be their new YouTube showrunner. But after I got hired, I pitched an idea for a Twitch network. And then that became my full-time job. It went off really well. It blew up. And we did a lot of fun stuff there. And I brought over, I had already known Hector. I'd known Hector the longest out of most of the people that you now know from this channel. And Hector's one of the very first people I hired. In fact, I can go back and I can name all the people I very first hired to be talent in my kind of new kind of group there. It was Steph Woodburn, Becca Scott, Ify Wadiway, Hector Navarro. Shoot, those are like the main 4 right there. Those are like my main 4. Jessica Marizan, stuff like that. So a lot of old friends, people I'd met in the comedy scene through UCB, stuff like that. So Hector's been my friend for a very long time, and I wanted him to come over. At the time, Hector was still doing VFX work. He was still working out of those kinds of places, and told him, love for you to come over, and he quit his job and decided to just be a full-time host. And at the time, we were all so scared and nervous for him, but I'll be damned if Hector is not exactly the person who's like, I'm going to do this thing, and then he freaking does it. And next thing you know, Hector's everywhere, and he's hosting on like 7 or 8 different channels. So yeah, we, in the first, couple months, did a bunch of really fun stuff. I did that for like a year. I butt heads with some of the higher-ups at Legendary Digital who are not there anymore, so now I can finally say that I butt heads with them. But I butt heads with a lot of people at the top of Legendary Digital. I found a lot of their practices to be extremely unethical. So I left Geek and Sundry after a year of building that and building it up. And literally, it was my baby. Started it, with the good graces of Felicia, built it up, and really loved a lot of the things we did. And one of the shows that we did on there was called The Pool. It was myself kind of directing and behind the scenes producing, and then on screen was Amy Dallin, Hector Navarro, and Whitney. And that was a lot of fun. We did live comic book readings, we did interviews of creators, and talked about the books that were coming out. And it was a ton of fun. And it wasn't too long after doing that, we had started the network with a show that very quickly was like evident it's not going to work out. And I won't tell you which one that is, but it was like, this isn't going to work out. I started talking to Hector about ideas, and Hector was like, hey, some friends of mine and I, we've been doing a superhero news show out of our buddy's bedroom. What if we just did a movie talk show, but here, and we drew up a pitch plan and sent it over to management, and they were like, fine, whatever, do it. So then Concession Stand started. And then we brought in more friends and kind of kept building that out. And I left. I came up to I went up to Seattle to start Hyper RPG, this company that is this now, and very quickly realized that was going to be really tough for me because I didn't have the connections up there. My friends weren't up there. The people I built networks with weren't up there. And I have to be really careful how much I say because I do still have a lot of friends who still work other places, and I will never, ever, ever want any of my friends not to have work. I think people should always take work when they can get it because work is very hard to come by. But I will say I was getting calls from a lot of people begging for us to bring Hyper back to LA because they weren't being treated right, and they felt like they were being disrespected. And so after a year of being up in Seattle, came back to LA with Hyper RPG, hired my brother Lucas, who was running Geek and Sundry at the time, after I left him in charge when I left, and then he left that as well and came over to Hyper, and we all just kind of came together and kept building Hyper here. And for a while we kept a second studio up in Seattle, but that proved to be way too expensive. And now we're here, and we're still making content for you all. But at some point during that whole thing when I was up in Seattle, some of the people who felt really disrespected and like they weren't being taken care of was the Concession Stand guys, Hector and Adam and Augie. So when their show was dropped from that network, we picked it up immediately. And for a while, we were like sending funds and help and work from Seattle down to here until we moved the whole company back down. And now Adam lives here, and we do content together all the time. So yeah, we're just still making awesome stuff, and we want to make really cool stuff. And you know, I've been a producer in this kind of world for a very long time. Before I got involved with live content, like I said, I was doing a lot of commercial work and behind the scenes kind of directing and producing work on YouTube shows that you would most likely have never seen. Some viral sketches and stuff like that you probably have seen, but then I'd get asked to do really weird stuff like an entire series of promposals for, oh, what the heck, Adam's computer must have went to sleep back there. I don't know if I have time to fix that. I should probably just turn off the TV then. But, like I did a whole series with Becky G on promposals, and that was really weird. Lots of weird stuff in my old YouTube days. And I was really, really excited. I met Felicia Day on a production that my production company was producing, and then Felicia and Geek and Sundry decided to co-produce and kind of buy it, and that's where I met Felicia. So that was a really cool project that nobody will ever see because it, you know, the amount of pilots that get shot in LA that are really cool that you will never, ever, ever see is mind-blowing. And it was a good pilot. It was a really good pilot, but you'll never see it. It's done. Did his computer go to sleep? Oh, great. Well, we can just turn the TV off then. Yeah. So if you have questions for me on the YouTube side about what brought us here, how we all came together as a group, what kind of stuff do we like, or anything else about me, I used to do this thing on Twitch called Honesty Hour, and I don't do it anymore because I feel like our Twitch audience knows too much. They've been around for too long, and they know too frickin' much. You can only turn it off by hitting the button underneath. You gotta like go back there and, yeah. The remote won't turn off the TV. You have to actually, it's underneath in the middle under TCL. You hold it down, and then you'll see the power off button come up. There you go. So I feel like I did that a lot on Twitch, but then we have stuff like our YouTube channel now, which is growing, and we want to build a sense of community here. And I feel like a lot of you have no idea who I am, or why I'm on the network, or why Lucas shows up on stuff. And Ab and I have been talking about doing a series of interviews of me interviewing everyone that works here, like Adam and like Lucas and like Malika, and letting you all know on the YouTube side like who we are and why our journey is freaking awesome. I think a lot of you guys on the YouTube side have missed out on that part of all of our trials and tribulations and how much we've struggled to keep this company alive and how much like blood, sweat, and tears we've pumped into this thing to try to make the content we want to make. So, yeah. What use is a remote if it doesn't turn off the TV? Well, we use our phones. Like, we have the Roku app on our phone, and yeah. All right. Hearing hyper stories is always fun. Good stuff, says Edward over on Facebook. Do you still talk to Felicia in the Critical Role cast? Felicia more. Definitely talk to Felicia more. I will talk to the CR cast if I run into him. But as far as the Felicia, yeah, I still talk to Felicia. Okay. So, if you have questions for me in YouTube, go ahead and ask them. We'll get there. We'll start talking about comic books. But comic books have been a love of mine since I was a wee lad. And wherever I am, I want us to be doing a comic book show. But it's tough. Comic book shows are tough. People care a lot more about movies than they do comic books. And that's fine. That's fine. I get it. I completely understand that. My master's is in painting. And I immediately dropped that to start making movies because I thought this is really stupid to expect the world to bend to my wishes of the art I like when it's so much easier to consume this kind of art. And comics is kind of the same way. I love comic books, and I think they're awesome. I think they're amazing creative outlets, but I also understand that more people want to know about the movies. They want to know about these big blockbuster events that are happening. And Adam and I have always known that, so we were like, if we're going to talk about comic books, let's do it in a casual way. Let's just hang out, we'll chill, and we'll just have a conversation with you, because anytime we try to do anything that is an actual comic book show, if you don't have some sort of celebrity involvement, you don't get the viewership. You know, people aren't going to tune in, so it just happens. Somebody on YouTube side asked if I had a Switch, and if I do, if I'm excited for Ultimate Alliance 3. I pre-purchased it the day pre-purchasing it went live, and I actually find it kind of dumb. I was mad at myself for doing it because it let me preload the game. That game has been installed on my Switch for almost a month and a half already. Why do that? I have a fully finished game that I want to play right now, preloaded, over 2 months before the game came out. That was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why I did it. I should have said no, because now every time I turn on my Switch, I see it there. I see the thumbnail, and I know it's installed, but I can't play it. Makes no sense. And yes, Andre, if you just check the Twitch side, YouTube is very far behind. We've never been able to figure that out. We stream the exact same settings to Twitch and YouTube, but YouTube always gets far behind, always lags behind the Twitch stream by quite a ways after a while. Okay. Why am I excited to play Ultimate Alliance? Asked Zone Fighter J. Because I love those games. Ultimate Alliance and Ultimate Alliance 1 are on my Xbox One back there. I still play them. I freaking love those games. I love superheroes, and I love Marvel superheroes especially. And I mean, even going back to the X-Men Legends games, those were a blast. When I was in college, we used to play those on the PS2 all night long. So that entire kind of history of those games and what they've turned into, fucking love it. I'm into it. I'm super pumped for Ultimate Alliance 3. I think Matt Acevedo and I are doing an all-nighter next week because we're not going down to Comic-Con that day. So we're going to be playing that game all night long on Twitch. We're going to co-op it, and we're going to frickin' beat it. It's going to happen. I don't know how many of you saw, I did a one-sitting playthrough of SpiderMan on PS4. I was awake for 24 hours. I played the game for 24 hours. It was not a good idea, but I loved it. But I was so emotional at the end that when the stuff with Miles at the end and everything else, I was literally like in tears because I was just so emotional from being so tired. But that was really fun. It was fun to just play the game all the way through. Why don't you give Daredevil more love? Asked No, this is Patrick. In which regard? I love comic book Daredevil. I think Mark Waid's Daredevil run in, what was that, 2012? Was that 12? Was that 2013 and 14? I thought that run was masterful. The issue with all of the kids in the bus crash that were all blind and going through the snow was unreal. Like, such a good book. Such a good book. The Netflix show is just okay. Just okay. Megalo Blazemon on YouTube says, correction, Zach played the game for 19 hours. Tommy Wiseau played for 5. It got really weird. Are you happy that Marvel finally convinced Jake Gyllenhaal to be a part of the universe? Okay, so I think with that question on the YouTube end, let's jump into my thoughts on Spider-Man Far From Home. So it's really funny. Actually, we have Andre the Black Nerd. He is on our Monday night show here at Hyper RPG on our Twitch end on Kolok. And when he sat down before this week's show, he was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I've been watching a lot of you guys' reviews on YouTube. They're really good. But that's why you guys will fail on YouTube. And he's joking on that part, but he's also not joking. Because he's like, you guys are so reasonable, and you have fair points, and you're all listening to each other. It's really good. He liked it. And I was like, oh, that's an honor. Thanks, Andre. And I know I told Adam, he's like, I want you to talk about Spider-Man today. I was like, well, I think it's going to upset people because all I really want to say is that I don't want to make judgments until I see it a second time. I need to watch it again. I really do. Because there are scenes in that movie that are my favorite frickin' Spider-Man scenes of any Spider-Man movie yet. And the last Spider-Man, Homecoming, is my favorite Spider-Man movie. I love it. I rewatch it all the time. There were things about this one that I thought, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, were the best case scenarios and was so clever. The way the villains were set up, that was clever as shit. That was great. All that being said, I want my Peter Parker and my Spider-Man to exist in the MCU on his own a little bit and not feeling so weighed down and tied to the rest of the Marvel Universe. And because the characters in that movie are so good. That MJ is my favorite MJ. I was talking to Hector about this. Mary Jane is my favorite rendition of Mary Jane outside of married Mary Jane with Peter Parker and J. Michael Straczynski's run around the Happy Birthday issue. Those are some of my favorite Mary Jane moments in the comic books. This Mary Jane is by far my favorite Mary Jane in media. And I know it's not Mary Jane. It's MJ. Before you start yelling at me, I know that it's MJ. But that's what they intend. So I'm going off their intent. And that intent is freaking awesome. She is a great, great character. And I feel like the scenes between the two of them are some of my favorite scenes that I never knew how bad I wanted them. I wanted that so bad because I never, ever felt like Tobey Maguire and Kristen Dunst clicked even in the slightest. There was no chemistry there. I don't care how much people act like that upside-down kiss worked. It didn't. It just didn't. But all of the illusion tech, even the way that they set up Mysterio in general, I thought was absolutely awesome. Some of my favorite scenes. All that being said, I definitely felt like the beginning was rushed, and I felt like the beginning was edited by a committee, and that's not something I can say about the first Spider-Man movie. I felt like coming out of Homecoming, it felt very much like the director had kind of final say on the editing because it was so tight and so well done. And this one, it felt like the first 30 minutes were just, they were moving at a super fast speed, and I feel like this movie is at its best when it breathes a little bit and lets me care about the characters and what's happening and why they're there. And the whole, like, I'm the type of person that in a movie, especially a plot-driven film, I want everything to be for a reason and for a purpose. And as much as they made the reasoning behind the villains work so well, the reasoning for taking a trip around Europe was a gimmick at best. And I feel like that could have all happened in Manhattan and been way more heartfelt and closer to home for Spider-Man. And it didn't feel like being far from home became a theme. If the theme was that, this is a guy who's been to space. This is a guy who was snapped out of existence for 5 years. I didn't feel like that became a central theme. So it just felt kind of tacked on, and it felt like it was like for cool scenery and stuff, which is fine too. That's me nitpicking. That's nitpicking, and I understand that. And that's why I want to see it again before I make a final judgment. The end credit scenes are the best end credit scenes of any Marvel film yet. They felt consequential. They're moving the story forward, and they were just friggin' awesome. What did you think about how they used Ned in this? I thought Ned was amazing. All of that stuff are my favorite things, and that's what's weird. And I never knew I wanted that, but that's what I want. I wanted a Peter Parker living a high school life. It feels like such a high school movie in a great way, and it makes it really fun. And those are my favorite moments, when they're just getting to be high schoolers and interacting with each other. And that whole thing with Ned and Betty was just absolutely awesome. All of that, and MJ and Peter's relationship. It's the stuff that I felt was sloppy was some of the, like, the stuff in the first 30 minutes, the 45 minutes. It just moved a little too quick. It was just doing things to do them. And it picked up for me and became, like, really, really, really good when right before Mysterio does his Mysterio stuff. And that's when it was like, oh, this is great. This is freaking great. I do feel like that too, Adam S. I feel like the ending sets up Spider-Man to be his own story in the next one, and I'm very happy for that. And I can see the potential in that, and I really hope they go for it. You know, and since we can't talk too much, I don't want to spoil the movie. I would like to take a little bit to, like, talk about what I think would be really cool to see next. I want to see a Craven the Hunter movie. I don't think they can do it with Tom Holland. Maybe not now. Maybe 10 years from now. You know, maybe if Tom Holland agrees to do 3 more after this 3. But I want to see a Craven the Hunter storyline, but I also understand that the world that we're in right now and the Peter that we have, I don't think it would fit. That Peter would need to grow. We need to live through some stuff. It's a little too soon for that. I think Norman Osborn is the obvious choice, and I don't think it's a bad one. I know we've already seen Green Goblin. I know it's been even built before, but if you make Norman a larger-than-life threat, I think it could be great. But then again, I could also see Marvel wanting Norman to be a overall threat to the entire MCU and not a Spider-Man threat and not a Spider-Man villain. But I could also see why that would be challenging. Whereas you set up the Vulture in such a great way that he's personally tied to Peter. If you just bring Norman in to be a villain and there's not a personal tie to Peter, you're taking out a lot of what makes that relationship so great and quintessential to the history and story of Peter Parker. And when you say that out loud, it almost makes you realize maybe they're going to bring the Vulture back. Obviously, if they do a Sinister Six, they will. But maybe they make the Vulture more of the Norman Osborn type, more of the Green Goblin type, thematically, to fill that void. Do I think we're going to get a Sinister Six movie? I kind of hope we don't. I kind of hope we don't. As much as it works in the comic books, and as much as it works in the cartoons, I feel like for a movie, it's too much. Like, this one was almost too much. Like, let's be real. This one was almost too much. And if it wasn't for how just goddamn charming Tom Holland is, it probably would have been too much. But he weights this universe extremely well. All the other side characters weight this universe extremely well. But it was almost too much. So I kind of hope they don't. And if they do, it's like maybe over a course of a couple movies. Do I think, without spoiling, do I think Mysterio will be back? I'm going to say yes. When we're allowed to talk about spoilers, I want to talk about that a little bit more, because there was something at the end that felt a little off to me. But you think Avengers Tower is going to be bought by Oscorp for sure? I think if Marvel doesn't do that, they've missed a giant opportunity. They've missed an absolutely giant opportunity if they don't make Osborn the head of that. Now, all that being said, I could see them doing that, and I could see Osborn leading the Thunderbolts and eventually, like, leading up to a Dark Avengers type thing. So it's like more of a threat on a home planet, internal, especially with the government behind it, which I know we got a little bit in Winter Soldier, but I think you can explore it even more, and Norman's a great person to do it with. But I don't know how you tie it back to Peter. Not in a way that feels honest and true. But, you know, maybe the next one is literally, like, there's certain things that bum me out. Like, can you imagine if Kingpin was a part of this world? Can you imagine if we'd already been introduced to Kingpin, if we'd already been introduced to Norman Osborn, and then, without spoiling anything, the ending of Spider-Man happens, then I would be like, holy shit, this is going to get nuts. But at this moment, even though that ending is like freaking great and one of my favorite things, how does it really affect us? What does it really do? And this is a question for the filmmakers. And I'm anxious to see how they handle that and what that does to Peter, because in the comic books, those stakes are very different. The stakes in the comic books are extremely different when that stuff gets out there. So I don't know how they're going to do that in the movie and make it feel like it's got as much weight as it does in the comics. So we'll see. We'll see. You want the tower to be the Baxter Building and have Chris Evans as the flaming torch? There's no way that would ever happen. From a contract standpoint, there's no way that'll ever happen. Chris Evans is Captain America. For now and forever. He's our Cap. That's going to be the hardest recasting Marvel will ever have to make. If it's 30 years from now even, recasting Captain America is going to be even harder. I honestly believe as time goes on, Iron Man's easier to recast than Captain America. And I don't mean recasting Tony Stark. I mean Iron Man. Because Iron Man is... Oh, God, this is tough. Yeah, even Tony Stark. I feel like Tony Stark, for a lot of people, is really hard to recast. But I could see Tony Stark being recast. I just can't... I can't see anyone other than Chris Evans being Captain America. Because he, like, oh, you know, they both do it, though. They both do it. That's a tough one. They both embody those characters so much that it's like art becomes, like, life imitates art. And the more he became Captain America in the movies, the more he became Captain America in real fucking life. And the more Robert Downey Jr. became Tony Stark, the more he became Tony Stark in real fucking life. And they've both kind of grown in that way. But it's going to have to be a really long time before those are, like, recast and changed. I feel like they'll just, because the Marvel Universe is so big and has so many options, you know, you get Sam Wilson as Cap, you know, and then you get Bucky Barnes as Cap, and maybe you get Nomad eventually. You know what? What are the chances that Cap had a kid? Pretty high. Nomad's out there somewhere. So, you know, there's options there. There's options. All right, so those are my thoughts on Spider-Man. I mean, there's scenes in that movie that I think are some of the best scenes we've ever had of a Spider-Man ever. The Mysterio stuff in that film was phenomenal, and I felt like a kid in a candy store watching that. It was absolutely awesome. So I love it. I love it a lot. Okay, but I don't know if I like it more than Spider-Verse or Far From Home yet. I need to see it a second time before I make that judgment. I rewatched all the Raimi films recently. Raimi. Spider-Man 2 is still a really good movie. I don't enjoy them as much as the new ones, though. I just don't. And I'm trying really hard when I watch those not to be driven by nostalgia. And I just let's just clear-headed, go in, turn off nostalgia, watch this movie. And I can say with 100% honesty, when I watch Homecoming, I have a much bigger smile on my face, and I'm much more like, that's Spider-Man, than I am when I'm watching Spider-Man 2. Outside of the train sequence in Spider-Man 2, which I think is one of the best scenes in comic book history, the rest of the movie, I'm like, okay, you know, Tobey Maguire is okay. I know a lot of people grew up with him as Spider-Man. To me, Tom Holland is just like, he lives in it. He lives in that role, and it's unreal. So... yeah, and they are very much Raimi films, which is good and bad. They're filled with camp. Adam wants a Steve Rogers / Peggy Carter movie. That would be rad. You wouldn't mind if they used the Doc Ock from Into the Spider-Verse for the MCU? I wouldn't either. That was great. She was awesome. What did you think of the use of the mocap suit? Oh, all of us loved it. All of us. That's genius. I thought those were some of the smartest choices. The The fact that they validate Mysterio through all the tech we've already seen used in all the other movies, I think is brilliant and very clever. Very, very clever. That's how you world build. I know Homecoming does not have Bruce Campbell, okay? And as much as we all love Bruce Campbell, he's not the only thing that makes a movie great. Yeah, who were we talking to yesterday? I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was talking about how he didn't realize that Tom Holland was British because he actually sounded like he was from Queens, and how the other actors didn't even try. The third Raimi Spidey you're convinced was just him trolling? Very well might have been after his script got taken from him. Did you see the hidden suits when Peter was making his suit? I believe so, completely, Corey. The ones that were kind of on the screen. He was moving around. Popping up. Sliding. If they do Craven, who would you want? I'd go with Jeffrey Dean Morgan or Keanu Reeves. I think Chameleon was in Far From Home if they use that Dimitri. That was really weird, right? That was just like pulling one over on us by using Dimitri and having him not. I mean, that was really funny. I don't want to spoil the very last scene, but it's definitely like pulling one over on you. I love the idea of Keanu Reeves playing Craven. That is like... Can you imagine John Wick Keanu Reeves with that presence, like hunting Spider-Man? Fucking shit, man. that is some heavy stuff. Just seeing him like tower over Peter and have that kind of presence would be so good. So I would love to see Keanu Reeves as Craven. I think that would be amazing. Don't give him a Russian accent though. Just you can lose that whole part of the story. It's not super important. You could do without that. You could do it without that for sure. Who do you think will be the next villain your hope is Green Goblin? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. King Perfect. So I don't, Grayson, the lack of Uncle Ben influence in the MCU is a big disconnect for you. I don't feel like that. It's not a disconnect for me. And I honestly feel like I like what they've done, but I'm ready for them to move on. Little touches like his suitcase in this one, that stuff hit me in the heart. When he closed his suitcase and had those initials on there, oh boy. And I feel it in Tom Holland's Peter. From the very first time Tom Holland had that conversation as Peter Parker with Robert Downey Jr. in Civil War, I believed him as Peter Parker more than any version of Peter Parker on screen we've had yet. And he didn't even freaking say Uncle Ben's name out loud, but you felt it. As an actor, he conveyed that feeling of what Uncle Ben's loss did to him. And I liked that better as a fan of movies, having something that's like, we've seen his origin story, and me as a Spider-Man fan, I fucking know. Every single person who writes Spider-Man reminds me every time they start their first page of the book, Uncle Ben, don't forget. We know. And Tom Holland did such a great job of conveying it without saying it. And then how his relationship with Tony, like wanting a father figure so bad after losing two. And I thought all of that stuff was really, really great and makes his character really tragic. So it's not an empty part for me at all. I like that it's subtle. I like that we're not hounding on it. But I'm ready for them to step away from Tony Stark. I'm very much ready for it, which is weird because we just got out of Endgame. But I am ready for it. I'm ready for it. Oh, Undead Saints fan, you and I will fight to the death, good sir. You have a right to your opinion, but I have a right to disagree with it and fight you to the death over it. For thinking Tom Holland's acting is flat. Get out of here with that. Get out of here. Get out of here. I agree with you, FirePan90, that don't want to have Tony Stark involved in Spider-Man 3 in any way. None. I want Tony Stark to be completely out of the picture for Spider-Man 3. Other than just a memory of what it's like to lose that many male figures in your life and what that does to you and how he's looking for one. Other than that, gone. Gone. Okay. Do you think they'll bring in Harry Osborn for the next film? I don't know. I mean, if they were going to build up Norman, you got to start now. But he can't even go to high school in the next film. I don't want to. I got to stop talking. There's already people in the chat that have been like, don't spoil anything. So I got to shut up. Let's talk about comic books. All right? That's what we're here to do today. Let's talk about comic books. There was a Spider-Man comic book this week. I hope you read it. It was a good one. It's actually a good one. I feel like Spencer's getting in his stride. It was a 60-page issue. It was huge. Number 25. And it was good. It was really good. Some good Mysterio stuff in there, too. Okay. So let's get in there. I want to start talking about these books. I read as many as I could. I did have some appointments this morning, so if you read stuff that I didn't, we'll talk about it. Ba-doop. All right, let's get into it. So these are the books that I picked up from my pull list this week. You'll notice there's very few. I think there's only one DC book in here, and it's a collaboration book. Adam usually reads our DC stuff, so I did not pick any of those up, but I will walk you through. If you read some, make sure to tweet at Adam, ask him what he thought, all that good stuff. I'm going to make sure to download Adam some books later so we can check them out. Okay, Wolverine vs. Blade Special, number 1. I'm pretty sure there's only going to be one of these. This is a classic, and I mean classic, comic book hero versus hero tale. To the point that I'm like face palming when they reveal why they're going to end up fighting each other. Seriously. But my buddy Dave Wilkins did the art for this book. I've been friends with Dave on Facebook for years and been following his work, and he has grown so much. And his art in this book, we're going to pull it up. I'm going to show you because it's phenomenal. The art in this book is worth picking it up. You should check it out just for the art alone. He did the cover too. So what I love about this book is you pick up the cover, and you're like, damn, that's a cool cover. Every page looks like that. Every frickin' page looks like that. It knocks it out of the park, the whole book. No wonder it's a special, and that's what's cool about these one-offs. They had probably enough time to really like plan it out, get the art done right. Oh, this is for mature, by the way. It's super gory. Super gory. But the art, it's just phenomenal. There's so much good stuff in this book. Whoo! But the writing it's okay. It's a fun team-up book, but the way that it follows those tropes of how they end up fighting each other is just absolutely ridiculous. But it's a great book for the art alone. And if you dig yourself some Blade and you dig yourself some Wolverine, it's worth picking up for just checking out the sweet art from Dave Wilkins. So many good page turners in here. I mean, look at this, is just a one-pager. Something you'd hang on your wall. Oh, that's the other thing I love about this book. It's like mid-2000s, metal out of his bones Wolverine. There's a shot, I'll get to it, where Wolverine's got his mask off and he's talking to Doctor Strange, and he looks straight up like mid-2000s Wolverine. I freaking love it. Get to that frame for you. Yeah, right here. I freaking love this like 80s hair metal Wolverine. Love it. Yeah, X-Force Wolvie for sure. If you told me that his suit right here was made out of his hair, I'd believe it. Like Bayonetta Wolverine, going for it. But no, there's really great art in this book. Worth checking out for the art alone. It's fun. I don't want to knock the writing too much. It's really fun. It's just be prepared to facepalm when you find out why they end up fighting each other. It's absolutely ridiculous. Wolverine and Captain America, Weapon Plus #1. This is a fun book. It looks like we had quite a few Wolverine books this week, pushing out this stuff now that Wolverine is back in the Marvel Universe, back from the dead. Nobody ever stays dead forever. I'm still boiling water over here. Get that thing off. They've hinted at this in other books before about Wolverine and Captain America being a part of the same program, and Captain America was just the first Weapon X. Well, not Weapon X, obviously. Weapon Plus you know, whatever. The first weapon by the government, and then they just went in order. And Phantom X is in this, and if you all are a big fan of Phantom X, you should definitely check it out. Love me some Phantom X and getting him in there. And basically, anytime you wrap up the entire weapon program, it's a good time. And finding out all the other people who've shown up over the years and how they relate to the story. Basically, it's not the first time they've done a story like this, but this is well done. It's really good. The story hooked me pretty quickly. I'm excited to check out number 2. Miniru on YouTube asks, what comic book source online do you use? I wanted to get into comics and wanted to see your recommendations. This is right here, just Comixology's website. These are the books I picked up on Comixology's website. It's dangerous, though. Once you insert, you can link it to your Amazon account, and they have, like, instead of adding it to your cart, you can just click Buy Now, and it just loads it automatically. It's very dangerous, because it's a one-button purchase. Those are always dangerous. H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, Volume 1. I picked this up because the last H.P. Lovecraft comic adaptation won an award for being awesome, and I didn't get a chance to check it out. So I am excited to check this one out. I didn't even open the book yet, so let's open it up together and see what these interior pages look like. This book was created to be read from right to left. Yeah, so we got a manga on our hands. This is great. I'm already super into this. Okay, I'm going to love this. I've been going back through and reading a whole bunch of Junji Ito. Y'all. I love my Ito mangas. It's a huge inspiration for me for the horror books, or for the horror show that I run on Mondays. Oh, I'm going to be super into this, everybody. This is definitely something I can get behind. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to check this out later, and I will update you all next week on what I think of this book. Definitely going to be checking it out, though. All right. Scrolling back down here. Venom number 16. Donny Cates is back, baby. Okay. So we're getting right back into it. If you are not reading Venom, don't be like me. I remember it was about this same time last year. I was not reading Venom, and somebody told me, you're an idiot. Read Venom. I was like, I don't like Venom. Venom sucks. I've never liked Venom. And I can't even remember. Actually, you know what? It was a friend of mine in New York who used to work at Golden Apple here in L.A. He's the one who told me. And he was right. He was right. I was an idiot for not reading Venom. Donny Cates is absolutely killing it on the book. You should definitely check it out. And this is an interesting book because Eddie Brock has basically gotten rid of the symbiote. He doesn't have it. The symbiote's gone. He had an interesting run-in with a symbiote-like thing in War of the Realms, but it wasn't a symbiote. And in this issue, Eddie's kid, that the kid doesn't know he's his dad, so that's a little fucked up, but it's Eddie Brock, so it's expected, is hungry, and he's sick, and Eddie has no money. So he goes back to some of his old employers and is like, I need work. And they're like, we can't hire you. You're a psychopath. There's no way we can hire you. You're crazy. Why would we ever bring you in? But here's this side job you can do, and I'll give you some cash. And Eddie ends up finding about some stuff that's going on that may involve Carnage, and it looks like it's building up to maximum Carnage. But my favorite thing in this book was the stuff where Eddie imagines himself as Venom when he's not. And like when he gets a fight with somebody, the book's drawing him as Venom, but he's not. He's just Eddie Brock. And his mind, he imagines he's still this monster. And he's still this dude that can just wreck people's faces. But he's getting the shit kicked out of himself. And, he's been Venom for so long. He sees himself that way. But he's not. And he's getting his face kicked in and getting the crap knocked out of him. So, but seriously, Donny Cates absolutely kills it on Venom. You owe it to yourself to check it out. He's building a really cool... It's the first time somebody's taken Venom and, tied it into the overall Marvel universe. Like, it's tied to Gore the God Butcher and Thor. how do you make Venom and Thor like make sense together, tie it all back together in a really cool way? Definitely really neat. All right, moving forward here. Oh, this was great. This was great. Unearth #1, Colin Bunn's new book, and Kyle Strom's new book. This was cool. I dug this. You know, let's check out some pages of this book too, because it's gross. This is a good horror book. Brandon, you would dig this shit. Hey guys, Brandon's here. You're on Rat Queens tonight. That's great. So this book, Unearth, it's setting up like this disease plague that hits Mexico, and you don't really know what it is. And I love this because these U.S. officials come down and they're checking it out, and they're like, "Where's the doctor? We're supposed to talk to the doctor." And this kid's being all creepy and stuff like, "Here, let me show you to the doctor." And it's like, "Oh God, shit!" I love it. Yeah, basically, it's some Japanese horror. It's so good. This book was really fun, and I'm really excited to check out issue #2. This is just issue #1. Like, even this panel, oh man, I'm loving it. This is some good shit. Ah, I love that. Look, just this paneling. I'm into it. I'm very much into it. I'm really excited to keep checking out this book. And there's a lot more that goes on. I don't want to spoil it for you. You should definitely check it out. It's at #1, so it's a great time to jump in and get on board. That's right. Kill it with fire. Burn it all. Burn it all to the ground. I love it. I love it. That's right. Rat Queens is coming up next in about 45 minutes over on the Twitch end. You should check it out. Brandon's going to be a special guest tonight. Can I tell them what character you're playing? It's known. Oh, Barry? Yeah. So this next book is pretty interesting as well. Jonathan Luna did a one-shot called The Crescent. This is really interesting in that Jonathan Luna published it himself. And it's the first time he's done a book on his own and not a part of his brother team or with someone else. So if you like Alex and Ada, The Sword, Girls, all those books, you should definitely check this out. It's very much in line with all of those. But it's even more interesting because it's a one-shot. It's just one single story, and it's only 27 pages. I was expecting a one-shot to be like a volume, but it's just 27 pages, self-contained kind of short story. And it's about werewolves, and I can't show you the book because there are a couple scenes in it that would violate TOS. If you've read Girls, you understand sometimes his books go a little bit more mature. But I found the most interesting part that this was completely self-published, only for digital, and it's just a little one-shot. Pretty interesting. I did not get a chance to catch up on Symbiote Spider-Man #4 out of 5 from Peter David. I will later. I will later. Reaver #1. This one was fun. This is Justin Jordan's new book, and I really, really liked it. I'm usually not a big fantasy fan, but the book dives into a darker part of fantasy, and it made sense when I read the very ending page here. I don't know. Okay, how many of you in the chat, be honest, don't read the final letter from the publisher and or the writer of the book or the artist or whoever? Who skips that part? Because you shouldn't. There's so many tasty nuggets in there that you don't want to miss. This one, I found myself surprised that I was digging the book so much because I usually don't like fantasy books. But then at the end it made complete sense because Justin Jordan basically explains how he fell in love with fantasy through Conan the Barbarian at way too young of an age. And that was also my first exposure to fantasy in general. And it's kind of a low fantasy. It's not high fantasy, you know. It's a lot of brutality. It's very on the ground level. A group of adventurers going out and being way in over their heads, but without big magic. It's more like contained. And it felt very Conan the Barbarian in a really good way. Some of the panels I felt like needed some work. There's a couple perspective shots in the book that aren't necessarily great, but overall, it's a really, really good book. It's a ton of fun. It sets up a new universe. There's two main countries are warring against each other, and it's basically Thunderbolts, but in a fantasy setting, where the advisor to the king is basically saying you have to go in. It's super metal, too, in that way, because the advisor tells the king, like, the king basically is upset because they can't get ahead in their strategies, and it's like everything they do, it seems like the other people already know what's going to happen, and the advisor lets them know it's because they've built this magical thing that allows them to see what you're going to do before you do it, but it requires a sacrifice. And you find out that this opposing army, because of the kind of government they have and stuff like that, are basically just sacrificing their own people and their blood to fuel this magic that allows them to know what they're going to do first. But he needs plausible deniability to break into this place in case it doesn't work, so he hires a bunch of prisoners. All of the prisoners from their encampment. So it's very much Thunderbolts. It's a team of bad guys, basically also Suicide Squad. Definitely Suicide Squad. Having to come together and go against the opposing army or die. So, yeah, it's basically Suicide Squad in a fantasy setting, but it's freaking great. It's really good. I definitely suggest checking it out. It's at #1. Now's a good time to pick it up. It's super brutal. It's very Conan the Barbarian, for sure, but in a really good way. So, yeah, check that one out. Great book. All right. Sorry, I have to back out with only one of us here today. I'm backing in and out of all these pages. And the book, for those that didn't know, is Reaver from Image and Skybound. I did not get a chance to check out Outer Darkness #8 yet, or Oblivion Song from Kirkman and DeFelici. I've been loving Oblivion Song, though, so you should definitely check it out. What's up, Sanjiren, over on YouTube? Good to see you. Oh, by the way, Murder Falcon Volume 1 dropped today. If you don't buy that book, what the hell is wrong with you? Do you even care about our opinions here? Why are you watching? This book is everything. Pick it up now. It is issues 1 through 8. It is everything. The whole series. It's only going to be 8 issues. Go pick up Murder Falcon. Do it. Just do it. I've already read all 8 issues, and I bought it as a volume 2 because I want to have it to just have with me all the time. If I ever need to pick me up, boom. Popping open Murder Falcon. It's the best. Miles Morales Spider-Man #8 was really good and really interesting. For those that are keeping up with Miles Morales Spider-Man or are not, at the end of the last issue, Spider-Man was captured. And in this book, they give you almost no answers. So it's an interesting take. Miles has been captured. This group, whoever they are, we don't know who they are testing him. They're testing his limits, and they're documenting them. They keep running him through simulations to test his strength, his reaction times, and his ability to operate under pressure, and we don't know who they are. And I thought it was handled in an interesting way from the artist's standpoint, because everything felt very boxed, the paneling, whereas a Spider-Man book is usually open panels, lots of sweeping movement, and you feel like the page is very much open because Spider-Man has so much movement to them. This book in particular helped you feel captured and claustrophobic even through just the paneling. All of the paneling is just squares here, and I find that to be absolutely amazing that they've done that and conveyed that feeling of being captured through the entire issue. The paneling doesn't change, and it's really great. But you don't find out who these people are. You have no idea what's going on there, and right when you think you're going to get answers, you don't. So this issue is definitely one that was completely built to keep the mystery alive and deepen the mystery. You get no answers, but it's really, really good. It's really, really good. Okay, so there's that one. Let's go next. All right. moving on to the next book. Sorry, everybody, it's taking me a little longer with just me here today, operating. Oh, that's right, Invisible Woman, number 1 out of 5. Like I said, I've got 3 pages left. I've been reading it right here, and it's great. This might be my pick of the week, and I did not see that coming. Invisible Woman, number 1. The art is phenomenal. The writing is tight. It's a spy thriller, and it's so well put together. I don't want to ruin anything for you, so we'll go back to the beginning so you can see some of these panels. It's really clean art, but with great coloring. Everything's, which I felt like is really smart too, because it matches her ability and how you envision Sue Storm. You know, like even the art and the coloring, it's all very clean, very crisp, and it matches her power set really well. So it kind of gets you in the zone. Oh, thank you, the official Keanu Reeves, for those bits. Really appreciate it. Thank you for that. But yeah, this might be my pick of the week. It's really great. It's got that. It definitely captures the kind of spy thriller really, really well. And yeah, and it gives you a quick update on how Fantastic Four are doing right now. I mean, if you were keeping track, they kind of disappeared for a while. So. Hey, what's up, Katie? You came back to this channel to watch some more Kolak 1991 and saw that you were live, so I thought I'd come by and say hello. Hope you have a nice rest of your stream. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for stopping by. Hope you're enjoying Kolak. Really do appreciate it. We're just talking about comic books right now. For sure. But yeah, this is probably my pick of the week, everybody. I cannot recommend enough. So many great little moments like this. Man, when Mark Waid is on it, he's freaking on it. I feel like he's one of my favorite writers in the business when he's like in the zone with single characters. I don't like Mark Waid on team books, and I know some people disagree with me on that. But when he's got a character in his hands and he's just like reconstructing that character, I feel like they have such a true voice. Whereas like when I'm reading Bendis, I feel like I'm just reading Bendis, you know, like I hear Bendis and everything he writes. Whereas Waid, I feel like he can take these characters and just really dive into them in really unique ways. And it's these little moments like this, like Sue just being in Central Park in New York and talking about how a cup of coffee and just a sunny day in New York City is everything that matters to her. And it's great. Little moments. Wonderful. Big fan. Okay. Juan wants to know if I've read Red Hood and the Outlaws from DC Rebirth. I have not. I don't read DC books. I leave those up to Adam. There's so many books that come out every week. We're trying to split what we read. Unless it's a big event book, then we'll both read it, just so we both have an opinion on it. But let's see. Next up, I picked up Incursion Volume 1 from Valiant. I'm a big Eternal Warrior fan, so I'm excited to check this book out, but I know nothing about this, so I'll have to get back to you on that. Giant Size Ecstatic 2019 number 1. Art from Mike Allred. Mike Allred has some of my favorite art in the biz. It's got so much personality. His run on Silver Surfer with Dan Slott. Some of my favorite stuff put out in the last 5-6 years. Thank you for the resub over on the Twitch end. Really appreciate that. So I'm excited to check this one out. I haven't had a chance to check it, but I'm excited. Shy asks, do you have any recommendations for high fantasy comics? Do you consider Saga high fantasy? Maybe that's a question for somebody else. Would you consider Saga high fantasy? Yeah. Sci-fi fantasy, yeah. What would you... I'm really... Because I don't read much high fantasy in comic books. Fables? High fantasy? Maybe Monstrous? Have you read Monstrous? I would say Monstrous is probably really good, high quality, high fantasy. Rat Queens. Yeah, that's true. Rat Queens is high fantasy. If you want high fantasy, head over to our Twitch channel in about 30 minutes for some high fantasy. What? Oh, you heard me challenging Hector? I'm going to challenge Hector. I will throw down the gauntlet on Hector. Yeah. Hector will be like, oh, I know encyclopedias. I don't care. I know the heart. I know the heart. Okay. Rat Queens is comedic fantasy, not high fantasy, Zach. Shut up, Fadior. I don't give a shit what you think. Ghosted in LA, #1. I picked this up because it was a #1, and it was probably my #2 book of the week. It's really good. It's really good. This is a Boombox book, so it's like Boom, which is already kind of an indie line. It's their even more indie line. It was really good. It's really clean, really crisp, great story. I fell in love with the protagonist almost immediately. She's very relatable, and it's just basically about a girl moving to LA with her boyfriend, and her best friend tries to tell her before she leaves, don't go, your boyfriend's a dick. I hate telling you this, but you're going to hate it there. And she kind of has a breakdown in the middle of the book because she finds out her boyfriend is a dick. And everyone around her is kind of like controlling her life a little bit, and she doesn't feel like she has a personality of her own. And then she meets a whole bunch of ghosts. And that's all I can really tell you about the book, but it's really good. It's got a really, really strong, likable protagonist, and the writing and the paneling are really fun and really crisp. So I would say check it out, Ghosted in LA, and especially if you like kind of like young adult teen stuff. It's kind of in that range, young adult teen, like girl just goes to college, dealing with her boyfriend, all that good stuff, and then meets ghosts. Good times. All right, next up, what's the next book on this list? All right, moving forward. Gotta scroll down. Every time I open a book and then go back, I have to scroll all the way down the page and find where we left off. It doesn't automatically go down. Little things, just little things. I picked up Criminal #6 from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Criminal is one of my favorite books out there. Everything Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips does together is a book that I think you should pick up. If you see those two names together on a book, you should have no hesitations in picking it up. It is almost guaranteed to be a solid book. It may not be your favorite book, but it will be friggin' solid. That being said, they had another big book come out this week called Bad Weekend, which is just a one-off, 71 pages. Just check it out. Crime tale within the same world. Champions #7. Not get a chance to check that out, but I did pick up Bitterroot Red Summer Special. This was great. And if anything, if you've read any of the other Bitterroot books, even just reading the last couple pages of this and it telling you why the writer writes it and what they're talking about, I think is valuable information and good for anyone to know about. Bitterroot is really well done. And let's see, I'm just going to scroll through the bottom here. There's a page about the author and why they're writing it, and a lot of it has to do with an attack that happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, years ago. And it says the Tulsa Race Massacre between May 31st and June 1st in 1921. It is basically, there was a predominantly, well, it was an African-American community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was basically bombed by community-flown airplanes dropping dynamite out of the planes on this community and destroyed the entire community. And that's kind of the setup for this book, but it deals with race issues and how people deal with those things, and he sets up two competing families from that, like a family that just wants anyone who had anything to do with it to burn and to burn the earth, and then another family that just wants the people who should be held accountable. And it kind of explores those two different versions of anger and how to deal with that stuff, and it's really good. Did I ever read Kill or Be Killed by Ed Brubaker? Oh yeah, so good. So good. But I heavily suggest checking out Bitterroot. This was a special where it just kind of had a bunch of little one-shots from within the world from different artists, and it's really good. It's really cool. Yeah, you should check it out. It's a good book. Highly recommend. Lots of comics. Lots of comics you got to check out. So much good stuff out right now. There always is so much good stuff. Not just the big ones. Okay. Black Hammer and Justice League Hammer of Justice #1. So this is the only DC book I read this week, and it's not really a DC book. It's a Dark Horse DC team-up book with Jeff Lemire. If you've read Black Hammer, this issue almost doesn't need to be read. I feel like this issue is more for the people who are fans of Justice League that don't know what's going on in Black Hammer. The whole thing is pretty much letting you know what's happening in the world of Black Hammer, the farm, everything that's happening there. And as you can probably tell from just the cover, they switch spots. The team from Black Hammer ends up in Metropolis, and Justice League ends up on the farm. There is some really cool stuff that happens right at the end of the book, though, where it's a mirror to the first couple pages, but with the Justice League instead of Black Hammer, and that's pretty neat. Oh, yeah. The Black Hammer basics alone imply crossovers can happen. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's smart. It almost feels like this is what Jeff wanted to do all along with this title. But if you've been reading Black Hammer, you're not going to discover anything new in this book. It feels like it's definitely setting up the people who read Justice League to get them interested and into the Black Hammer universe, because it's just like you're going to feel like you're rehashing a lot if you're a Black Hammer fan. I didn't get a chance to dive into Black Cat #2 yet. I will check that out. I was kind of mixed on #1. Already talked about Bad Weekend. Amazing Spider-Man #25. This was a great book. This was a really good book. This is one of the best issues of Spider-Man Nick Spencer's done. I really liked it because it sets up Mary Jane and Peter both having an heroic moment at the same time, and both giving themselves lessons that they needed to learn at the same time. The only thing that's really weird is Peter goes back to college at the end of the book. It doesn't make any sense. In this world, he was running Parker Industries very recently. Very recently. It doesn't make any sense. But he does. He does, but it's a good book. I think this issue is really strong. There's some good Mysterio stuff in there, new Electro stuff, and I think it gives Mary Jane a lot to do in this issue, and it's good. It's one of my favorite issues Nick Spencer's done yet. I think it's tight. You learn a little bit more about the villain that he's building up, and Ryan Otley's art worked really well for me in this one. It doesn't always, but it worked really well for me in this one, so I would definitely check it out. Avengers #21. I really didn't like this book. I don't say that often, but I know what it was trying to do, but it does it so much worse than what Thor #15 does. And it's just basically trying to be, we just had a big event, let's reestablish that the Avengers are a family. I understand why it's happening in Craven 95, but it seems weird to me, because it seems like turning back the clock, but without. It just seems weird. I want to see Peter move forward in a way, but anyway, it feels like it's just another kind of this Avengers book. It's trying to make you care about the Avengers through remembering that they're a family. And maybe it would have worked if the art was more consistent. The art was really inconsistent. It's some of the worst art I've seen in an Avengers book in a long time. And I know that this artist, Jason Masters, can do good work. So it makes me wonder if they put him under a schedule that was just unrealistic. There's panels in this where I'm just like, what is happening? There's no consistency. And most of the book takes place in a hot tub. That makes sense. It does try to set up some of the new stuff. It's starting to bring, the Squadron Supreme into the story a little bit bigger and set them up like they have been for a while with Coulson. But it's like starts around in here. The art starts getting really rough and inconsistent. Some of the line work starts to like move all over the place. Like this stuff especially just starts feeling real rushed. Like really rushed. like they were under a deadline that felt like this doesn't even seem like it belongs in the same book. And it kind of took me out, you know, like these panels took me out of the book because I was like, what? Like, look at these lines. I'm like, man, somebody was under the gun to knock this book out fast. Sloppy. Sloppy. Very sloppy. I expect better from the big publishers. Give your artist time to work. Don't just put out the books because you have to. Yeah, this line work, it just doesn't work for me. It's not consistent with the pages that were before it or the pages after it. So I expect better, Marvel. Expect better. If they dropped a time stone in the hot tub. We could only hope. We could only hope. All right, next one on the list, I believe, is Thor 15, which was great. Yeah, Thor number 15 was solid. Very solid. This book's killing it. You should be reading Thor the whole run. Don't skip out on any of it. It's a good run. It's a good run. You should definitely check it out. It's the epilogue of War of the Realms. It starts setting up the relationship. I mean, there's some good, like, dad moments in here. You know, Thor's getting a chance to talk to his dad. And we needed it. We needed those good dad moments. It's good stuff. And it's funny, like, it almost hits harder because you saw Endgame recently. Like, it's so hard to distance yourself from the Thor you've seen in Endgame and the Thor in this book that when he starts having those really, like, good moments with his dad, you're like, You start feeling it. Hey, what's up, DJ Knight? Good to see you. How you doing? It's been a while. Hope you're well. Yeah, Thor is fantastic. Pick up the trade. You definitely should. You cannot go wrong with this Thor book. And it hits hard. It hits really hard. And there's only one more of this run, and then the next run starts, and that will be the final run. When that run's over, Jason Aaron's Thor run is done. It's over. It's out. All right, that is all the books from this week. We did it. We got through all of them. Believe it or not, we got through all of them. I haven't read all of them. I'm close. Like I said, I think my pick of the week is Invisible Woman. My second up would be Ghosted in L.A. Okay, all that being said, if I hadn't read Murder Falcon yet, Murder Falcon would be my pick of the week. That Murder Falcon is the book that you have to go out right now and you have to buy. You have to pick it up because it's the best volume that came out on the stands today, and you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't pick up frickin' Murder Falcon. You got to. Oh, somebody gifted DJ a sub. What's up?
It's so good.
Hey, why don't you throw a headset on? I got 20 minutes to kill. Why don't you throw a headset on? It's plugged in over there. Yeah. Grab that headset. Come on, Adam, get in here. Here, let me go turn the volume up on that headset.
What's up, nerds? Oh,
You talking?
I am now. I can't hear myself, though.
You can't hear yourself?
Nah, man. What's up with that? Hey, nope. Sure can't. Nope. Definitely can't. I just hear buzzing. Hi, guys. I'm here. I just got back from seeing The Lion King. It's The Lion King in live-action, computer-generated format. Oh, nope. Still nothing. Dang, Zach, you getting rusty. He went to AX, and he's a rusty boy. Nope. Got nothing, baby boy. You sure I'm plugged in correctly? Look, as long as you guys can hear me, that's all that matters. I don't need to hear myself. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, Lion King is The Lion King. It's the same movie from 1994, just real looking. It looks cool. I think that's the thing that'll be talked about the most. I hope at least, because I think it's a really impressive achievement when it comes to computer-generated imagery and stuff. But in terms of the story, I mean, yeah, you're getting the same thing. Hey. No, I can't hear myself. Dang. Guys. Zach's a rusty boy, apparently. What'd you do, man? Oh, well. Let's see if I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Nope. Can't hear you.
I can't hear you either.
I love how the show's supposed to end in about 10 minutes, and I just made a bunch of more work for Zach. Hello. No. I can like hear something in the far reaches of space, but it's very just like buzzy. Zzz. Oh, how was Stuber? I'm very curious about that movie. I want to see Stuber, but I've heard kind of mixed things. Hi, it's me. I can't hear myself still. I don't know, man. I hear like my voice buzzing in the background of my headset, but I can't hear myself. Yeah, man. Zach, you said you were the DC Comics guy. LOL. Have you read Red Hood and the Outlaws from DC Rebirth? I don't think I've ever heard Zach say he's the DC Comics guy. Oh, Zach said I was. Oh. No, I haven't read Hood and the Outlaws from DC Rebirth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's weird. Yeah, I can't hear myself, so I don't know. That's a thing. As long as they can hear me, that's
Yeah.
all that matters, I guess. Naeem? Oh, there we go. Oh, shit, I'm hot. All right, that's pretty good. I just won't have to yell.
Yeah, I don't know what Naeem touched last night, but I gotta work on that after this show now.
Can't touch this.
Awesome. That's awesome. Dude, Invisible Woman's so good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a
Whoa.
damn good book.
What's a comic book that you think I'll love other than Murder Falcon Volume 1? Because, damn, those first few issues were great.
Invisible Woman's just good.
Yeah.
It's just a damn good book. As far as other things you might like, trying to think.
Did you only stick to Marvel and indie stuff?
Yeah.
Cool.
If you'd ever start reading Thor, you'd like Thor.
Hey, man, you got those books?
Yeah! You got the login. You got everything you need, man. You're the only reason you haven't read it.
Oh, it's on Comixology? You have it on there?
All of it!
I thought you had it in your boxes.
I've got all of it.
Cool, man.
Just freaking read it, man.
Sick, bro.
Every one of them. You got the login.
How did you like your background that now disappeared because apparently the computer chose to restart on its
Yeah,
own?
your computer restarted. So.
I hate that. How do you turn that off? That's annoying. Hey, man. You invading my privacy over here. Come here, you goofball.
All of it, man. You log in. Boom.
Nice.
I'm even subscribed to it. I'm subscribed to this comic. Every time a new Thor drops, it's in there.
It's in there, baby.
It is in there.
Guys, Kaiju and Huck are like Mufasa and Simba, but goofier. A bunch of goof boys.
Yeah, you can hop on your Comixology account there and read all of it.
Yeah, apparently your blood pressure has risen 15 points since I showed up.
Yeah.
This is why we do the show together.
Yeah.
Did you give everyone your hot take on SpiderMan Far From Home?
What hot take?
I don't know, man.
It's
just
not
clickbait.
really a hot take.
It's just clickbait. That's all it
Jeez
is.
Louise. I tried talking to the YouTube audience a little bit before the show. Just be like, hey, here's a little bit about me.
So they get to know you a little bit?
A little bit.
Pitter patter, let's get at her sort of style?
Only a little bit.
Yeah, well,
Pitter patter.
Just try.
New season of Letterkenny was weird.
Season 6?
Yeah.
They're doing another one, right? Season 7,
yeah,
I
you
heard?
could tell Hulu took over production.
Interesting.
Definitely a little different, you know?
I need to get caught up, and I need to just binge watch the whole thing. It's such an easy thing to watch, too. Just, seasons 2 through 6.
Good to put on in the background. I don't think it's bad. It's
Yeah.
not a bad season of Letterkenny. It's just definitely like the pacing's a little different.
Sure.
And the cinematography changed, so you can tell.
Oh, really?
It makes it feel a little different.
Did they try to go too professional looking with it, or like what's
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like in the first episode especially, and then it feels like by mid-season they were like, let's pull back a little on that and go back to what worked. And
Sure.
It's still Letterkenny, 100%.
Oh, you making coffee for people? You just gonna leave me hanging?
I made some Frio coffee.
Left me hanging.
Frio coffee. I can't just make you another one right now. I'd have to
Do some work?
do some work, and I don't want to do that. I'm just gonna sit here.
Hey, Black Magic has a credit in the Lion King movie. What do you think for? What does Black Magic produce? For what?
Da Vinci, probably. Da Vinci Resolve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's that and Airy Rentals. They're the only two like companies that have a credit.
Interesting.
Like,
Yeah, it was probably
alright.
DaVinci Resolve.
Okay.
So it's the exact same movie, right?
It's Lion King. It's the same movie from 1994. It just looks prettier because it looks real.
Yeah.
I will say though, like that to me is the most impressive thing about the movie. I think when you sit there and you realize like every blade of grass, every rock, every pebble, everything is a computer generated piece of thing. It's really impressive. I think Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen were the funniest part of that movie, which is very much on point with the original. I thought Timon and Pumbaa in the original were
that
the
was
best
the
part.
idea.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it does what the original did. If you haven't seen it in 25 years, or if you're taking your kids or younger siblings and they've never seen The Lion King, then you're going to have a really good time.
Cool.
Otherwise, yeah, it's the same movie.
All right. Well, I probably won't see it.
Yeah, I have nothing. There's like nothing bad or extremely good to say about it in terms of
All
the
these
story.
Disney movies coming out that are like retreads, like I didn't grow up on those that much.
I didn't
so,
either.
Like my little brothers watch them a lot more.
You mean
so I
Baby
don't
Boy
really-
back there? That
I know, Baby Boy. Did you watch Lion King a lot growing up? No.
He's like, bro, I watched RoboCop and Terminator with you.
I'll probably watch them a lot for like a year.
Yeah. Well, like Beauty and the
I mean,
Beast.
and to be completely honest, we
Yeah.
probably watched My Little Pony more than we did Disney movies.
Yeah.
Because my sister was in like, Mary was so crazy about My Little Pony
Yeah.
and The Last Unicorn that watched that a lot.
Yeah.
But that being said, by the time Lucas would have been around, we were too old. Like, I do remember very vividly Mary, for my middle brother, making him dress up as a Spice Girl and just watch and doing Spice Girls all the time. So,
Nice.
not many Disney movies though.
No,
A
same
lot
with
of
me.
Star Wars.
I mostly stuck to Warner Brothers animation stuff, and yeah, it was mostly just superhero stuff, like DC superheroes or Fox TV superheroes. I didn't really do the whole Disney like Snow White, Bambi, all that, none of that
Yeah.
stuff. Like I'm still catching up on it, and Emily shames me for it every time, lovingly.
This is kind of in line with comic books a little bit.
Yeah.
We could talk a little bit for the next couple minutes about Stranger Things season 3.
Oh my god.
I think it was my favorite season of the show.
I think so. I mean, I definitely liked it more than season 2. I think the thing that it did so much better than season 2 separated the characters, but like 11 was on her own adventure with characters that we didn't really know. Whereas with this season, they separated the characters, but instead of putting them with new characters, they brought new characters into groups of characters that we already know and love. And I think that to me was the strong part about it. Like I love seeing 11 with Max. I loved that. I loved all that stuff. I love seeing all the guys. I like the dynamic between Will and the other 3 guys and how everything is changing and evolving for them. They have girlfriends. But for Will, because he's been stuck in the Upside Down and he's been more or less infected by the Upside Down, he still wants to continue being a kid because he feels like he's lost experience, but everybody else around him is growing up. And I think that adds an interesting dynamic to their relationship. And where it ends, I'm very curious to see if they're going to use that as an element to create some sort of triangle.
Yeah.
Kind of hope not. I don't know if
kinda hope not
yeah,
too,
I don't really
but
want that, but
That being said, like, I do agree with Megaloblazemon that it felt like right when it was like going, like just getting starting, the season ended, but I like that. I feel like
Yeah.
Netflix shows have almost always had this problem with going too long and too much filler.
totally.
And I freaking love that when this season was over, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Like, that was tight.
I totally agree.
All of the episodes were really tight. They
Yeah.
packed so much in each one, and it moved.
I totally agree. Yeah, and I think that's part of my problem with season 2. By the time we got to the end, I felt like, okay, now we're finally getting to the end. Whereas with this, it just felt like it kept building in the best way possible. And I never felt like I was aware of when the ending was coming, and then it just happens. And it just felt very fulfilling, and it didn't feel like it dragged out at all. And that's, I think, was the most satisfying part about it. I really do like Robin. She was a really great addition. Maya Hawke, she was great. She was a great just counter to Steve and Dustin.
Oh, yeah. So good.
Yeah, it worked really, really well for me. And the moment that she has in
the
bathroom stall with Steve was so just
good.
like packed
Really-
such a punch.
I mean, it's so funny to think about Steve from season 1 and then Steve now, and you're just like, Steve.
Yeah, he's really evolved as a
Man.
character in the best way. Yeah, you see how he was with Nancy, and then going on into season 2, and now in this season, you're like, damn, they really have given that character an arc, and it's great. I really love it.
Yeah.
And I love Dacre Montgomery in this show, in this season. He was so good as...
He was, okay, what surprised me
Yeah.
is how much I fucking cared for him.
Same.
That was weird,
In season
right?
2, I was like, just get him out of
Yeah.
here. In this
He
season,
was
I was like,
so
oh my
tragic.
God. Yeah.
That scene in the sauna, I felt for that dude.
Yeah.
He did a
It was
great
so
job. 'Cause
well
I was
done.
like, that was just the actor. Because the writing's telling you, piece of shit.
Yeah. Totally.
But the actor, like, he found a way to make
He's-
you care.
Yeah.
And he was a tragic, tragic character.
Yep.
Because you're like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing terrible things. But you're, like, worried for him.
You are.
And
And
I
every
thought
time
that was an achievement.
And every time they cut to him, I cared about his scenes. It wasn't just like, give me back to 11, give me back to the guys, give me back to this. I cared when I saw Billy. I wanted to know more of like, okay, what tragic thing are we going to find out next about him? Yeah, it was a really well done season. All the little like gags and Easter eggs and little like homages to things was awesome. The Terminator, I think, was a great touch.
Yeah.
so
That was actually
much
the
stuff
one
in
thing
there.
that I didn't like was the Terminator.
Oh, really?
I thought that was too on the nose.
Sure.
I felt like it was
I
too
can see that.
literal.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other things on the show are great appreciations
Subtleties,
and
yeah.
subtleties, and that was like really literal.
At that point, I think I said this to you. At that point, I was like, man, you might as well just have like composited Schwarzenegger's face on there.
Yeah.
You know, and just been like, it's the Terminator, because
Yeah.
he really is. Alexei was a standout to me. I didn't think I was gonna give a damn about some Russian, scientist, but I really came to love that character too, and the relationship he has with was it Murray? I think the character's name is.
I can't
Can't remember what his name is. But yeah, it was great. Cinematography was great. Visual effects were great. Everything
I think
was great.
easily my favorite season.
Yeah.
And that says a lot because there wasn't as much mystery in this one.
No.
And I do like mystery, but
Yeah.
I have other shows I go to for that. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I know somebody in Twitch chat mentioned Dark, and I'm like, yeah, if I want deep mystery and like heady story, I'll go watch Dark. Stranger Things really feels like it's your popcorn.
It just gets to the point in the
Yeah,
season.
it's your popcorn D&D.
Yeah.
Get in that adventure, get moving.
Yeah, and I don't think Hopper is as hopped out of this universe as people like to think.
The American.
Yeah. Should I give my take on what I think? Do I want to spoil it for people?
There are people who already said they haven't seen it,
Yeah.
and they're watching it right now.
All right. I'll wait.
We'll wait.
We'll wait.
We'll wait. We'll wait a little bit. Somebody asked also, are you going to go see Midsummer?
Hell yes.
I saw it already, and
Yeah.
holy crap.
I'm gonna try to go this weekend. I think this is like the one weekend before Comic-Con that we have free, so I want to go see Midsummer. And there's some other movie that I've missed that I haven't seen yet that I want to see. Yeah, but I want to see that because I really liked Hereditary, and Ari Aster is one of those directors who's an up-and-comer who is just like hitting home runs every time he makes a movie. So there's directors like that and like Robert Eggers who are making horror movies that I can't wait to see.
Somebody just asked when he saw the ad for Midsummer, says it was a horror comedy. It is. It is. In a weird way,
Yep.
it's funny. In a weird way. Like, the director knows when it's funny, but it's the kind of funny I like. It's absurdist. If
Yeah.
you like David Lynch stuff, it has a little tinge of that, just like, it's fucking absurd. And there's one of the most uncomfortable sex scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Ever. Not like uncomfortable, like uncomfortable, just like I want to leave. I want to get out of the theater right
Good
now.
Lord.
I don't know. I don't want to be here right now.
Oh my God.
This is I want to. This is weird.
Oh Jesus.
It's good film, all around good movie, really interesting. I've been seeing a lot of interesting takes on it that I thought were kind of missed the point in some ways. I saw a lot of people saying stuff like best breakup movie and all this kind of stuff. I think because they're like looking at it from a surface level of what happens at the end.
Doesn't she get like influenced by a cult?
Yeah.
Guys,
And, like, people
what
are
the
looking
fuck?
at it in like a really surface level, and just like because something bad happens to the boyfriend, they're like acting as if it's a vindication from being a bad boyfriend. And I'm like, you're kind of missing the overall point that this woman got completely gaslit and groomed by a cult
And look, I know that
and manipulated.
And I know that Ari Aster said that like the inspiration for the movie was a breakup, but I think like I think if that's the only way that you look at that movie, and I haven't even seen it yet, but based on the trailer and based on Hereditary, like there's more depth to just
yeah.
like that.
Oh,
and if
yeah.
that's your only takeaway, I'm like, well, I don't know
I
if
feel
this
like
movie's
if
for
anything,
you.
it's trying to make you feel a little fucked up for. In a way, like one of my favorite films is Funny Games, because Haneke is like putting you as the viewer of being like every once in a while it breaks the fourth wall and it talks directly to you, and it's kind of like you're an American and you love this shit. You love this violence, don't you? And I kind of feel like whenever people are saying like breakup movie of the summer and like you know, like the guy gets it, it's like almost like the director winking and being like, this is for you.
Yeah.
Like you're missing out. Like you're like not realizing how she's being manipulated, and it's kind of for you. It seems like a wink at the viewer there.
Hey, but this score by Henry Jackman from X-Men First Class is pretty good.
Okay, well, we are about to throw it over
Sick.
to Rat Queens tonight. Brandon is our special guest tonight. You're not going to want to miss it. If you are a fan of comic books and you're watching on YouTube or Facebook right now, open up your I know this is hard. I know this is really difficult. Open up your browser, okay? Go to twitch.tv/hyperrpg. I know this is difficult for you. I know once you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook, you never leave. We see the stats. We see how few of you click over to the other platforms. It's like 2%.
That high?
It's in. God damn it! It's really easy. Just open up another tab. Twitch.tv/hyperrpg.
If you're on YouTube, you can literally click the link.
Can click the link in the chat.
It doesn't work for you.
If you dig comic books, we have an amazing show on. Rat Queens is going to be performing live at Gen Con in Indianapolis in a couple weeks, and it's going to sell out. So if you're going, you should definitely pick up tickets. But it's a lot of fun. It's a great show, and it is completely in world with the comic book, and it's a great time. So you should check it out and click that link. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today on Comics and Coffee. Appreciate you letting me rant and talk to myself like you got to talk to yourself last week.
It's actually like it's not bad.
It's
fine.
It's not bad. It's not
Sick,
bad.
bro.
So have a great day. Stick around. Get humped for Rat Queens.